Welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas. Today we're going out for some bugs. I'm here with my dive buddy Jonny. We haven't dove together in quite some time, a couple years at least, and he was back in town visiting, so we linked up and we decided to go out to try to get some bugs and some fish. For me, it's just bugs, so Jonny had his spear gun out as well. So we're heading out. Surf was about 1 foot, visibility 15 plus, so really great conditions. Surge was relatively light, and overall the marine layer was still relatively thick in the morning. I'll address that later in the video, but overall great conditions to dive. I'm taking out my dive light here and the float line attached to it, so when I do see a hole I can ditch the light if I need to and then just focus on the lobster. But anyway, here we go. Let's get into the water. Let's go grab some bugs. So remember, you do have to measure your lobster in the water, and they do have to be 3 1/4 inches long on the carapace. I grab my gauge here, attach my little float, measure, and it is way too short. So see you next season, buddy. And for those newer divers out there, for lobster diving at least, it may seem pretty obvious, but you do want to try to make your way all the way down to the sea floor, level yourself off so you're parallel to the bottom, and explore the crevices here. And they're called bugs for a reason, because they like to stay in these crevices, especially during the day. Your chances of finding lobster out walking about during the day is pretty much zero, almost. But during the nighttime, they still like to stay in these crevices, even though they do like to venture out at night. So as I'm exploring around here, you want to use some of the rocks here to pull yourself around with minimal kicks. You want to preserve that energy as best as possible. And when you first start, it could be a little daunting going all the way down to the bottom. When I first started, it was anywhere from 10 to 15 feet. Do whatever's comfortable for you, what you're comfortable with, and make sure you try to stay relaxed as best as possible. And this is the big one of the largest lobsters that I have ever caught. I don't know if it's my personal best, but definitely top 3. I'm about 40 feet down and I'm exploring these cracks. Some good life here, and then I see it. Right there, scoots back, and I know I have one shot at this or else it shoots back into that hole and I can't get it. I'm shooting for those roots of the antennas. Go for the grab, secure the grab, put it next to my chest, and I'm trying to adjust it to hug it to make sure it doesn't escape. I ditch my light, and then I go up to the surface, and I cannot believe I grabbed this lobster, but we don't have it secured until it's in the bag, so I'm holding on for dear life at this moment. Woo! So as I was celebrating, I picked up a very clear sound of a lobster rasp. Did you hear that? So what that is, the lobster is rubbing a soft tissue called a plectrum located at the base of their antenna against a rough file-like surface near their eyes. And essentially it's like a stick and slip type of mechanism, and that's what creates that lobster rasp sound. You'll typically hear it if you miss a lobster and they're swimming away from you, you'll hear it there. Or if you're approaching a cave full of lobster, you'll hear that noise, but usually it's not that clear and just singular like that. So pretty cool to hear, but let's get back to the big one. Outside of lobster, there are many animals that like to hang out in these little holes. Moray eels being one of them. Double, triple check. Make sure they are clear before you stick your hand anywhere. Got another rude awakening. Startled right there from that moray eel. So my dive buddy Jonny and I see a really nice structure, so we head down and hope for some lobster or some nice fish. And as we're heading down, Jonny spots a really nice sheephead. Unfortunately, my GoPro decides to poop out right when that shot happens, but I turn it back on and I do see the sheephead here. And I don't know if the flopper's engaged all the way because it's in a hole. So what I do is essentially grab the tip of the spear with my hand and use my hand as a flopper and try to pull out this fish for him. We do secure the fish, and it is a nice sheephead. And on the way back to shore, we spotted this juvenile deceased mola mola, aka sunfish. These guys can get up to 10 feet and 5,000 pounds, so quite large. So this one was definitely a baby. They can gain up to 1 kilogram of weight a day, and they primarily eat jellyfish. There are some fisherman tales out there, but one of them is if you catch a mola mola sunfish and it happens to die on your line, you'll have bad fishing for 7 years. There are many variations of that, but generally speaking, if you catch one and it happens to die on your line, it's bad news. But I found the texture of the skin to be quite tough and resilient. It kind of felt like a shark skin, but cool to see, but it's sad to see it deceased like that, but there you go. And that sums up this dive. Here's some stats. 41 feet as the deepest. Longest dive was 1 minute 8 seconds. 39 dives total. Overall conditions were amazing, so it was really fun to be out there. And here's some other stats. All right, y'all, we just got back from the dive. Nice sheephead here. Just the nerves firing. This nice sized lobster we grabbed. Check that out. It's a chonky boy. It's nice eating right here. Solid session. Visibility was amazing today. Nice little haul today. Just got back from the dive. This is Jonny. We haven't dove with each other in probably like 4 or 5 years, but he's one of the OGs, or at least for me. Used to dive with him way back in the day, so it was really nice to meet him again and go out for a beautiful day in the water. We caught 1 lobster and a sheephead and a sargo. Really good, solid session, and yeah, hope you enjoyed this video.
1 pair of pants later.
Hey everyone, welcome to the kitchen. Today we're gonna cook up that lobster we caught earlier. We're gonna grill up some ribeyes. Got 2 here, And of course, we have this big boy. One of the largest ones I've caught for sure. I don't know if it's a personal best, but it's definitely a contender. But a beautiful, beautiful spiny lobster. It's a male. Now you know that are the fins at the base of the tail. If they're smaller like this, if they overlap each other, they're female. This one is a male. An absolute beautiful size, beautiful lobster. Respect your elders. This guy is probably a gazillion years old, but is really old. So we're gonna make sure we use every piece of this lobster. The tail we're gonna cut on the back side, pull out the meat, and then we're gonna bake it in the oven. For the head, we're also gonna bake and then try to get as much meat and juice out of the head as possible. We are gonna grill up some veggies as well. Some potatoes we're gonna roast, and then the limes we're gonna be using to make like a Vietnamese dipping sauce for the tail meat. So without further ado, let's get cooking. Right, so here's a lobster. Has been dispatched already, so we're good to go. I did buy this knife just for lobster. You can see that it's already dented a little bit. But when you're dispatching lobster, what you would typically do is go here. You would find the beak. You go straight down from the top, push down, press here firm, go down, and then push forward. That should dispatch the lobster quickly, and then so it's nice and humane. I picked up this knife because one, it's very affordable and cheap. Just poked myself with a little spike, so be careful. And a knife is just gonna get pretty much brutalized with just dispatching lobster. Hopefully you have that problem, so a nice big kitchen knife. So this is my go-to. So I'm gonna go first disconnect the tail from the carapace right here. So I'm gonna put my knife underneath, point up, around. Same thing on the other side. Should just twist, should come off. There we have it. Here's the tail. Nice tail there. And then for the legs and the feelers, first I definitely take off the feelers. Use just a kitchen knife. And then for this, the head, I've seen people pull out just the whole body section by pulling all the legs and then yanking it forward, but I'm just gonna separate this. I wanna keep the head together, but I do wanna separate the legs. So I'm gonna do that now. It's right where the joint is. Definitely do not want to waste any bit of this lobster. Any lobster for that matter, but whenever I have a grandpa like this one, I want to make sure all those years of foraging on the seafloor are not wasted. And I always get rid of these little feelers. All right, so that's pretty much it. I do get rid of these pieces as well in front of the mouth. It's not much meat in there, so I just remove those. And that's pretty much it. And then I'm just gonna bake this like this. Might get rid of some of these entrails. But yeah, but the main piece we're here for this guy right here. So let me roll up my sleeves. Then we do want to get rid of pretty much the poop trail, the poop tube right there. We're gonna cut the shell on top. I've tried using knives, but I found scissors, for me at least, the easiest, and I feel a little more confident with them. straight down the middle. This is where you can. Let me pull out the meat first. So what I do typically, what I found to be helpful, kind of slide. I don't know if you can see that, but the skin or the meat and the shell already kind of want to separate. Kind of use my finger to get in between there and kind of scoop, go toward the bottom, and then just keep doing that motion all the way down. Great. Okay, like halfway there. I'm gonna open this up a little bit. Oh yeah, this is a nice chunk of meat. All right, it's gonna be so good. All right, opening it up a little bit. Now you can clearly see that's what you don't want to eat. So we're gonna pull that out. This is the thing I was trying to pull out with the feeler, but failed miserably. There you have it. We do not want that. I got some good separation there. Check that out. Should we try it? Sashimi lobster. All right, we're pretty much separated at this point, almost there. Just the last portion or section. Get this last bit. All right. What I like to do is kind of separate a little bit. Don't break it completely off. And now we kind of more or less reassemble the shell as best as possible. But look at that. That is all lobster tail meat right there. So in the oven, it's gonna go something like so. I'm gonna open this side up. All right, there you go. Doesn't that look beautiful? So that's gonna go into the oven, and then we're gonna base it with some butter, some light seasoning. Doesn't need much, because we are gonna make that Vietnamese dipping sauce as well. So I'm gonna clean up this tray, and prep it for the oven. I'll see you there in a bit. Let's see if I can get you a better look at this lobster tail. Whew, Jesus. That looks delicious already. Here we have it. We have the tail. You have the body. And what I did is I propped up the body a little bit with the legs. So the idea here is as it cooks, the juices stay in there and doesn't come out into the tray. There we go. But look at this guy. Need something to reference the size, but it is a massive boy. And we're gonna set the oven at broil at 425. Actually, we'll do 400 just because it's the larger piece, and I feel like it'll take a little bit longer to cook through that dense meat. So we're gonna set it to 400 broil, and this guy will be going in there shortly. We are gonna prepare some butter to base the lobster tail. All right, for these potatoes, I'm keeping it very simple because we have a lot going on here. Oh gosh, that was way too much, but we're using some garlic powder, salt and pepper, and then we're gonna just roast it slow and top it off with a little bit of broil at the end to get some crispies. Forgot to mention the olive oil. What I would normally do is toss them a little bit so they're evenly coated, but we're a little bit tight on time today, so a little bit of salt. Trying to keep it simple. Some pepper, and then we did have that garlic powder earlier. This guy is gonna go into our mini oven.
prep these bell peppers and peppers for the grill. These I'm going to leave whole. Just going to put these directly on. Bell peppers, I was thinking about splitting them in half. Part of me wants to just pop this out and add some lobster juice in there, see what happens, but let's just do a simple grill today. What I like to do to get rid of the stem is push in. Usually pops the center, and then usually whatever is closest, the edges that look like they're about to break, put my fingers in and split, and then I'll start cutting the ends there, and I'll toss this guy. All right, looking good. I actually might not cut these too much. I want to keep them relatively large. I might just do like a half like this. No seasoning for these guys. Just on the grill. Nice grilled veggies. Again, time is of the essence. Might just do a little bit. Usually I might season them a little bit more, but for today, I'm gonna get these guys to the grill now. The fire looks to be ready. I'm gonna start it off with some salt and pepper. If you'd like, I would recommend salt, pepper before, so you can have the meat kind of soak that in, absorb the flavors. You can tell I didn't clean up the board before, so it does have a little bit of olive oil and garlic powder there as well. I'm gonna use that residual. See if this meat can absorb some of that before it hits the grill. But I think we're ready to go. I'm gonna bring this over to the grill. Let's bring this one over. I'm gonna clean up that cutting board. Make sure if you're using wood, try not to use, if you're gonna use dish soap, dry it out, olive oil, or some sort of oil, and then yeah, make sure the wood is taken care of. You don't wanna just use soapy water and then let it sit. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna bring this to the grill now, and let's start grilling. Before we do that, let's actually pop in that lobster. So I think the temperature is good to go, 400. Sorry about the messy sink, but I think we're ready. Y'all, we're heading to the back, and I forgot to mention for the lobster, you want to wait, or you want to have the internal set to 135 to 140 when you're pulling out. So just make sure you do that. So we have half. I like to do the half method. So half coals, half not. I can control the cook, especially for the meats. So I like to get a good sear on there. This is a ribeye. Not the most marbling. It is a select cut, so it's kind of the bottom tier of the USDA rankings, if you will. But I'm sure it'll still taste delicious, especially with that lobster. Potatoes. Pretty good, maybe a little bit longer. Just pulled it out of the oven. Internal temp is at 135. Look at All that butter. Some escaped. I had to retilt it so it stayed in there, but look at that tail. My goodness. Now we're gonna make that Vietnamese style dipping sauce for the lobster. First, we're gonna cut up some lime leaf. We have Thai chilies. I'm gonna cut those up. Now we're gonna add salt, pepper, now let's add the lime juice. There you have it. That's a simple Vietnamese style dipping sauce. All right, everyone, the cook is done. We have our huge lobster tail here. Steak, we have some ribeye, some grilled bell peppers, some other peppers, small golden potatoes, roasted, air fried. In our air fryer, we have some garlic sauce and a Vietnamese seafood dip, mainly with lime, salt, pepper, lime leaf, Thai chilies, and I believe that's it. But we're gonna dig in. I know you want to see me take a bite out of this, or at least I think I do. I definitely do. I was gonna use a fork and scissors to cut a piece off, but I feel like when you have something like a lobster tail this big, we gotta do something not as classy. So we're gonna dip this in the sauce. Take a look. This is that Vietnamese seafood sauce. Oh God, sorry. That's so good. I'm gonna keep eating this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.